Our ancestors built the first city as a beacon of peace on Earth. And it almost was. Until one night, an unseen force plucked it from the very face of the Earth and placed it under unfamiliar stars. It was a bountiful world with no sign of civilization. A world we named Paragon. With no way to return home, we adapted. New governments were built from the seeds of our past, and with them grew new ways of life. But the vices of old still festered. Organized crime bled out from the shadows and took root, preying on the foundation of our new home. But this world had one more surprise in store. A mysterious element in the atmosphere that gave a fraction of the population superhuman abilities. Under the leadership of the city's first hero, the Age of Legends had begun. 300 years later, Paragon thrives under the protection of its champions. And yet, the shadows of the past still linger. When darkness rises, it will fall to the next generation of young heroes to defend the first city. Welcome to the First City, the show where student loans and tragic backstories are forgiven.
Wow.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. I'm bringing that tradition back.
That's
It is
so
our
good.
opener, and I am sticking with it. So, I'm Ian Frost. We are Chance Encounters. We are very, very happy to continue now with Ben. If you saw the
With
first
Ben.
episode,
Ben. It's
I mean-
Ben.
if you didn't see the first episode, go watch that first.
Well,
But
you
if you
did.
did, he's
Uh-huh.
back as Jeremy. So excited to really, really get into that.
It's your boy.
It's him. Yeah, there he
He's
is.
here to
That's him.
party.
He's right there.
Mhm.
And without further ado, last time on First City,
Ba-ba-bum.
we picked up with Team Pantheon a mere few days after Fortress's midterm announcement on a normalization of your academic events. Your training with Pantheon has sort of normalized somewhat into a routine that was actually going very, very well. You kicked off your sort of middle of the week festivities with a lunch meeting with Team Prestige, who, as a
Yeah.
gesture of trust, revealed their secret identities to you. You then went on a extra special training exercise with Pantheon and Team Diamond Soul, who you had never really met in their entirety before, where you had a fun little hide and seek 2.0 mission at Nova Sky Base, Nova's headquarters up in the sky. But when you returned from your mission in the afternoon and were on your way out to head back to your house for the night, a sound was heard outside the walls as a massive flaming serpent erupted through the sensor gate, burning it in its entirety, as a figure rushed through wearing all dark colors and bronze patterns with a hood and hat obscuring his face. Bursting through, BB took a concussive shot and knocked him down in his tracks, and as he stood up, his hood knocked back, you stared into the face of Jeremy Johnson, thought lost until now, as he asked you,
I don't suppose it's too late to ask for. Oh fuck!
Asylum.
What did I say? Asylum.
It knocked my socks off when you said it. I lost my mind.
Oh
What a-
man.
Perfect first line.
And as we sort of fade out for this moment, we're actually going to start somewhere else. I want to take us back 1 hour before this moment.
Oh shit.
Jeremy.
We're going back in time.
60 minutes ago.
Jeremy, for you there is blackness. Then there are shapes, 3 of them, fighting, voices indistinct, ones you don't know, swirling in your mind, mixed in with a voice that you've heard before, one that led you to where you thought you were going.
formless in your mind with only words. Find them. The outlines become a little bit clearer. And then they slip away from you. Your eyes open. You draw in one stale, sharp breath. You look around as you come to consciousness. And it seems to be a warehouse. You struggle to sort of put together the pieces of where you are, but it's not somewhere you've been before. It's not your hideout, and it's certainly not where you are on your way to go. You don't know how you got here or why, but looking around, you do see this place is relatively spacious. There are crates all around. They seem kind of empty. There are chalk marks on the walls and tape around, and, you know, you can piece together pretty quickly. Disoriented as you are, it's sort of like construction happening. It's kind of what it looks like. Like this place is sort of marked for construction of some sort, or maybe destruction. You would have to probably go outside to see like what the real nature of that is. But as far as you can tell, you're inside an empty warehouse, and there is light streaming in from higher up windows. But you can't see really out them to where you are at the moment.
Jeremy will kind of like move into like a kneeling position very slowly, very creaky. Just kind of, well, this is not where I think I should be. And he'll kind of like hold out his hand and then create like a flaming dandelion, and then he'll hold it, and then he'll like, and then like the little seeds from all around will spread throughout the warehouse and light up the walls and the dark corners.
Mm-hmm.
And he'll look to see if there's anyone else in the warehouse.
There's not.
God.
You're completely alone here. But you can hear sort of distant sounds of ambient city activity, cars going by, noises of people walking and talking, but they're muffled. Like this place is just vaguely insulated, and it's some distance away on the outside of where you are.
Is there like a major like front door or like a smaller side door that he can see from where he is right now?
Yeah, there is a central larger double door situation. It's currently slid closed, but it looks like it can open either manually. You can pull it aside by force, or you can try to sort of operate the garage door element of it. It looks like, you know, forklifts would come through this main door. And there is, you know, a smaller like door to the side of it, but it's a big white X like spray painted on it.
He'll go over to that door and test it to see if it's unlocked or not.
It is.
Okay. He'll just slowly creak it open just a crack and just peek out.
You peek out and you see a high afternoon sun beating down over a street, on the other side of which you see tall buildings and billboards with holographic images and ads dancing on them, cars and air shuttles flying by. You can see the railway moving, the bullet train through buildings high up above. And you see that's across the street from you. But you look around where you are, and you see that there's sort of a plot of land where maybe once there was a parking lot, but it's been completely demolished and dug up, and there's just earth there. And there are signs all around and tape denoting that this place is set to be demolished. And you look around and you can see that there are other similar sort of warehouses around, you know, all down this block in this little area. It seems to be sort of what this district is, just outside of what you know very well to be a downtown portion of the first city.
Well, that's also confusing. He will let the dandelions like fall and pss, 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 and spark out against the floor, and then he will lift his hood, put his bandana over his face, and push open the door and try and walk out into the downtown area. Try and find out where he is exactly downtown, looking for landmarks.
Okay. So you step out and make your way across the street. It looks like the other workers around here are fairly busy, moving in and out, carrying boxes, operating forklifts through these other buildings nearby. No one seems to notice you're passing in this very bustling time of day, and you make your way over to the city, and you still see those shapes dancing in your mind. You still see now what looks more like a struggle, and you can't shake that image in your mind. And you hear the grunts and sounds of pain of that struggle and effort. And you try to shake it away again. You blink and you look around and you see people bustling about their daily lives. And you make your way sort of deeper into the city, walking down this very busy financial district sort of block. And you see there's sort of a commotion. And you notice that there is sort of crime scene tape around an area that is now sectioned off. You see familiar First City security vehicles blocking off an area. There are news crews still sort of talking in this area, and you look up and you see projected on a screen on a big corner building up on the side of it is the face of a newscaster talking about a earlier today prison escape during a prison transfer, and that a villain named Father Fear, who, you know, as a hero enthusiast, you would know that Father Fear is, you know, a pretty prominent villain who's been locked away in Blackstone prison for a while, was being transferred and escaped, caused some mayhem, and was promptly defeated and sent back to jail by Diamond Soul and, more oddly, to your knowledge, Pantheon. And you see footage being played of Pantheon and the other heroes who were present fighting this horrific, gruesome figure of Father Fear.
He'll just start like, he was confused before, but now he's like mega confused. Like he's like trying to think of like how Pantheon, I thought she died like years ago. What's going on? What?
You say that out loud?
He'll say it to himself, just like lowly under his breath, just trying to think through his thoughts out loud.
Okay. And you do see there are other people sort of gathered on the street trying to get a look at what's happening, the cleanup of what looks like something that happened a few hours ago. And you try to piece this together, you're looking, and that news footage sort of split screens with an image of your face.
Oh no. Oh no. He'll just go wide-eyed and just like sheet white and just be like, oh no.
Okay. So how long do you stay and watch this?
He'll probably, depending on what like the main like what's it called, the main headline is, depending on what that says will decide like how long he says he stays there.
Okay. The main sort of gist of this broadcast is Jeremy Johnson still missing. The search for him continues. Investigation into corruption within the ranks of Alma you learn about a sort of weird, bizarre clip show to you, like you've woken into a nightmare, seeing this story unfold before you. And you don't just see it on this screen. In one way or another, in windows, on other screens, on people's phones as they walk by, it all becomes a cacophony to you of this nightmare story, this scenario that's playing and playing and playing on everyone's lips in this city, it seems. Where is Jeremy Johnson and the clone that has died? And as that final piece of information hits you, and you see news footage of Pantheon's first reappearance in 25 years, as she hovers above a night sky in a town you are very familiar with, in front of a house partially burned. The image that's been rattling around in your mind solidifies, and you see 3 figures. They're back to back, the 3 of them, fighting for their lives in a black void that you can't make out. There are vague shapes of shadows clawing at them. All 3 of them are damaged and fighting. You get this immediate sense that they are in danger, that they may die, and that they need your help. And all at once you know their names. They appear in your mind just like every word the voice has ever spoken to you since you first heard it. Selena, Joe, Bailey. And you know exactly where they are.
But what if it wasn't us? What if it was other people? Because those are some bad vibes. Oh, man.
We hard cut back to the present moment, standing face to face with these 3 figures that you saw just 1 hour ago in your mind fighting for their lives. And you know their names. You're squared up kind of in bullet time with BB. BB, have you lowered your...
No, I keep them...
Keep
This
them
is post
hanged on
him
you.
saying the thing about Asylum, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
I think that actually makes her drop it pretty quick. So she's just kind of staying there. She's still stanced up. She's ready to throw down if need be, but she's giving him a chance to kind of explain himself. What? But you're Jeremy, right?
I think so. I don't know. Hit me a couple more times like that and I might forget.
She kind of like and looks over at Haramon and Silhouette.
Are Quickstep and Pantheon here yet?
As you say that, you do see that there is a blur of gold and red that just... It makes one circular lap and then solidifies into the still vibrating figure of Dr. Quickstep, standing in her golden red bodysuit with her black leather jacket and her helmet and goggles. She stands there between the 3 of you and Jeremy. She looks at you, and she looks at him. She sees that things are sort of at a stalemate. This is all happening in a very rapid moment.
Mm-hmm. Once Quickstep arrives, I think BB gets a little bit closer to Jeremy.
Quickstep moves vaguely, like she's on intercept right now.
Hmm.
She goes, "Stay." And she looks up and you see the red cape and outline of Fortress sailing up and out of her high window from the administrative tower, not far off. And as she is flying toward the scene, Quickstep begins to, she vibrates over to a crowd that is now on the other side of the wall, still sort of running and scattering away. But others on this side, on the hero side, are starting to like notice and gather. And she makes another lap and then widens it until people start to disperse. And you hear her voice projected somehow as she's moving. You hear it reverberate all through this area. Do not panic. The situation is under control. Everyone return to your dorms or classes or anywhere that you are expected to be at this instant. Clear this area. Everything is under control.
Jeremy, you're not gonna do anything, right?
Not anymore.
Okay, because that'd be a bad idea.
Yeah,
A lot of different reasons.
I am slightly regretting how I came in, but I didn't have that much time to think, so...
She nods and says, just don't do anything else, and I think they'll hear you out.
Okay,
Okay?
cool. I hope so.
And
Ooh.
BB continues to kind of get closer and closer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Quickstep is no longer between you.
Yeah, I know.
So-
I kind of am like half turning towards Harriman and Silhouette as well.
Silhouette is just like sort of shell-shocked
Yeah.
by this and doesn't really know what to say. And at that moment, Fortress lands. Not hard, just delicately, toes first, and then heels to the ground. She steps not between you, but among you. She's a few feet off from you, Jeremy, and she looks at you and she looks back at the group. This conversation needs to be a little more private, perhaps.
Great.
Jeremy?
Fortress.
Will you come with me, please?
Can do.
And as you start to walk with her, she turns back to the three of you. She goes, "You three." And she looks at Jeremy again. Were you looking for them? Or were you just here?
We'll go with yes.
Right. You two.
I follow.
That faint fluttering of sound of Pantheon arriving as she stands behind you and her eyes go wide. Joe falls back to walk with her as this whole gaggle of you walks forward. You see Quickstep vibrate over to join the fray. Fortress turns to say something to her that you don't hear. And you see a very hard, tight expression on Quickstep's face. And she steps back and vibrates back over to the crowd.
Could I try to hear it?
Yeah,
You
that's
can.
that was
Alright.
my question too.
That's an intellect, right? To hear things like that?
Oh,
Yeah, it could also be Will.
well,
Okay.
Could I roll for that as well?
Sure.
Could you send me a picture of my stat page, please?
Sure.
Because I think you have the most recent copy.
It's not the most recent copy. I have the oldest copy.
Oh shit.
well,
Okay.
You've adjusted it since I've had it.
Okay.
I think it's.
So I'm at a 2. I know I'm at a 2 for intelligence.
Yeah.
4 and up is a success, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I got a 1 out of 2.
1 out of 2. Okay.
2 out of 5 for me.
3 out
So
of 3.
smart.
3 out of 3. Okay.
Smart boy.
Dang.
So, Yeah, Jeremy, you don't hear it.
Damn it.
You don't hear shit.
But yeah, Silhouette also doesn't really try to. She's sort of back talking to Pantheon. But the two of you hear Fortress turn and say, I need you to get the others. Be ready for a conversation, but make sure things here are under control, please. And that's as much as BB hears. On your full success, you hear Quickstep say, I should be in that room now. This conversation could get ugly. And Fortress tells her, please. This is more important.
Whoa.
They're about to jump me.
They are. It's gonna be bad. BB reacting to the first part, not having obviously heard the second part, but even just hearing what Fortress said, goes up to Pantheon and is like, we can't let anything bad happen to him. Not after what happened to...
You're saying this to Pantheon, not to Fortress?
Sorry, Pantheon, yes, to Pantheon.
Okay, yeah. Pantheon goes, we won't. But we need to figure out something, any of this. Don't worry. We're just gonna talk.
Haramon this whole time has sort of just been trying to analyze the situation and specifically just the character of Jeremy, because they're trying to reconcile. She's trying to reconcile how angry and gloom and doom clone Jeremy was versus how chipper and like pretty fine with the situation this Jeremy, the true original Jeremy, seems to be right now. And it's not really connecting in their brain. But when they hear this from Quickstep, I think it sort of snaps them out of that train of thought, and they walk up to Fortress. I don't think I don't think that they say anything relevant to Fortress. I think Haramon just says, I knew it was over, but it just never ends. Or I knew it wasn't over, but it just doesn't end.
Fortress just sort of very gently takes your shoulder and gives you as much of a reassuring smile as she can and continues walking. You make your way back to the administrative tower where all eyes that see you are on you and linger there. But Fortress, there's a presence here. And as she's walking at the head of this group, she turns to everyone who looks and they just like, no, it's good. Ma'am.
I wasn't interested anyways.
I wanna clarify that once they started walking, Jeremy will put his hood and his bandana back up to conceal his face. Yeah.
Okay. It's still a big group after this crazy thing just happened that, alarms went off and people heard and saw things.
But the aesthetic, Ian. The aesthetic. It's so fly.
At the very least, people know that it needs to know that it's fit hard.
People aren't looking at, hey, that's Jeremy right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
just looking at who's this fly motherfucker right here.
Who's this hype beast over here?
You guys walk over to a different elevator than you've used before.
Special elevator.
Secret elevator.
That Fortress opens with a handprint. And it's larger on the inside and accommodates all of you. And you get in and the doors close. And there's just a long, silent ride to the top where
There's no elevator music?
It's just a ding.
No.
Okay, it's playing in my head.
Yeah.
And
Jeremy during like halfway through this elevator ride is just gonna look around and be like, so you guys aren't about to like kill me, are ya?
Fortress turns sharply around to face you. She goes, no. I apologize if things seem grim. But no, that's not what we do here.
What do you
That was quite
does-
an entrance.
does it go down and that's where you do it?
She just sort of rubs her face like,
Oh,
I think Caravone gives Fortress an equally exhausted look.
Look,
Solidarity.
he's smart enough to know that anyone could kill him at any time.
Yeah.
that's
He's
fair.
just aware.
he's just doing a little bit of trolling. He's just having some fun.
Hell yeah, love it.
Jeremy, it seems that all of us need to have something of a conversation. But I must assure you that you will be safe here, if that is what you're looking for.
That's very reassuring.
But we need to figure some things out before we can take any more steps. Okay?
Yep, that sounds about right.
And the doors open, and you see the tall, scarecrow-esque, black-suited, turtlenecked, long, dark-haired figure of Dr. Guest, waiting with his hands folded in front of him, kind of over his stomach, head slightly cocked. As you all step out, he nods to all of you, and his eyes fall on Jeremy.
Jeremy, upon seeing this man, will just like backpedal into the elevator and just like put his hands up like he's ready to go.
You back direct.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, I
you
was
were
gonna
do
say,
it?
I just partially not looking, just trying to like say hello genuinely to Dr. Guest. I will like reach back and grab him by the front of the shirt and pull him into the room.
As you do that, Pantheon goes, Jeremy Johnson, this is Dr. Guest. He's the head of behavioral psychology here. I think it's kind of important that he joins this conversation that we're all going to have, and he's a very dear friend of mine and this team. So
He's actually a very cool guy.
He's really cool, even though he looks like that.
he just like hit side eyes at BB and then back to you, and he goes, this way, Mr. Johnson.
Oh, but he talks like, oh, fine. If you say, why he talks so evil?
I'll walk like by Jeremy.
Okay. Pantheon lingers in the back to watch everything. There's a brief exchange of glances between her and Fortress. Fortress leads you down the hallway to her office. You see that Dr. Guest has brought in a number of chairs. He seems to have known whether he, knew or someone told him, which is more likely. There are enough seats for you in this very spacious office with this wide window, and immediately Fortress clicks something on her desk and the glass becomes solid. And she sits down and gestures for everyone else to do so.
Jeremy will take a seat closest to like a corner. So like he can see the rest of the room and everybody else in it.
Again, I apologize for the urgency here, but Jeremy, you did just burn through our security sensor wall. And I have to ask what exactly your intentions are here.
Well, first, I would like to apologize. I thought it was the best way to get your attention in what I felt was a very short amount of time. And looking back on it now, it's probably wasn't the best way, but it did work.
You hear Pantheon just sorry. Is there a reason that you made a beeline for my team? Because I'm gonna level with you. Things have been sort of revolving around these three. These three that I am sworn to take care of and teach. They haven't exactly had the most normal of academic experiences up until this point. I don't know how much you know about what's happened recently surrounding you. I mean, we need to... And Fortress goes... And Pantheon goes...
Well, on the first part, I wasn't necessarily beelining for them. I was trying to make my way to not Pantheon, sorry, Fortress's office, and I've never been on this campus before, so I got kind of lost. And on the other hand, I have no clue what's going on. And I feel like, well, I know that something happened because my face is everywhere, but I don't know why or how.
Fortress leans back slightly in her desk and folds her hands over the top. We learned recently, as in a little over a month ago, that, well, your duplicate burned one of our dormitories and fought for the attention of this group of students in particular. I would like to introduce you formally to Hermone, Bang Bang, and Silhouette. The confluence of events that Pantheon was referring to is this. They were spoken to by someone who remains yet unknown, someone who knew their true names. And during a gathering of students, the house was burned, clues were left, and ultimately an assassin was sent. After your duplicate kidnapped a scientist, one that he blamed for his creation. As to whether or not she is responsible for his creation remains unknown at this point in time. We have only the information that we have. And we've been in contact with one Detective Asher of AID. All we know is that you have been missing. Your duplicate was murdered, his mind having been deteriorated to a point where his actions seemed necessary to him. to tell his story, your story. He died for that, for the truth. And Jeremy, we still don't have the truth, and that's what I'm after. The truth and the safety of all of our students.
JJ. Oh. I only have the answers that I gave to Freddy, so sounds like you got all of those. As for JJ and his actions, I'm sorry that he got you involved like that. I'm confused though, because it seemed like he would have been okay for a while. I don't see how he could have degraded that long in only a month.
Unfortunately, we are not the ones with access to his body.
Who's got JJ?
Presumably, Alma.
Did has Quickstep found anything in the blood sample I gave her?
You see she looks at Pantheon and back at Dr. Guest, who is that maddening neutrality that he has. As he doesn't sit, he's standing in the corner behind Pantheon. Or behind Fortress. I don't know why that keeps happening. He's standing in the corner behind Fortress, and Fortress turns back to Team Pantheon. And she says, I don't like involving the three of you in this anymore, but it seems as though events necessitate it, and we're not going to repeat the same mistakes again. These events that are surrounding you, you have a right to be involved as they unfold. To a point, granted, and that point is me throwing you into more danger than is necessary. However, at this juncture, I feel no qualms about telling you that she could see the deterioration. It was evident and rapid. It seemed as though whatever design was responsible for his creation, he remained stable for a time, and then that deterioration was gradual and then rapid. With only a small sample of blood and no further study of the body or frankly, the methods used, there's not much more we can figure out here. The documents that you provided us in your message, the ones now available to the public, included your genome, as well as an original work order that, frankly, I'm not sure how you got your hands on, for a program of 5 willing volunteers, one of which is someone, as we understand it, you were meant to have a meeting with.
You can thank Whistleblower for that.
And who would that be?
Ah, right. Whistleblower is the person or the thing that spoke into my mind. That's just what I called it. I don't know what you guys call it. But sounds like you guys have heard Whistleblower too. the night of the party.
Silhouette goes, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty freaky, ain't it?
It
That's a word for it.
it knew our names. I mean, like our name.
Real names. Listen, I want to keep learning how to be a hero in the normal school sanctioned way, but I think we owe it to JJ for whatever he was trying to warn us about, and to Jeremy too, to see this through.
What is the last thing you remember? You were supposed to meet the detective. You never showed up. Where have you been?
That's the that's the question. I don't know. I woke up in a warehouse an hour ago.
Just for Eric's own clarification, that he was supposed to meet with Detective Asher, correct?
Mm-hmm.
And Detective Asher
At Triples.
at Triple's spot. Detective Asher, though, was also in the dream that I had, the memory dream that I had, and I saw her at Power Development Program or whatever institution that was with Tara Baker, my mom.
And she
But she looked a little different.
we know that Asher was one of the ones who voluntarily signed up to get cloned. So
Gotcha.
the implication was that the dream Asher was the clone.
Was the clone.
Asher.
Mhm.
Yeah, because she was with 5 other people, or a few other people. Was that
She
information
was
that's already
with
been
exactly 4 others.
4 other people?
Yeah.
Is that information that's already been disseminated? Like, is everyone aware of that?
By you?
Yeah.
I believe that you told.
Okay,
someone.
I just wanted to clarify.
Yeah.
Because I know we're still working with Asher.
And just to be clear, the dream Asher didn't have a scar,
Correct.
or did?
Oh, right.
Did not.
Did not. Okay.
Okay.
Got it. Okay. Thank you. Sorry, I just wanted to clarify.
Jeremy, can I have you roll a willpower saving throw, please?
Woo!
You don't need to tell me what it's out of. I just need to know how many successes you get.
Watch this. I'm cracked. I'm insane. I am
You got
mentally unstable. Whoop.
This is it.
Let's see. 4 and up are successes. 6s are 2 successes.
Ooh.
That is a 4.
Nice.
4 total? Okay.
Yeah.
On that many more successes than she got,
Damn.
Ooh.
you are aware that Fortress is trying to read your emotions.
You may be a fortress, but I'm a citadel.
Oh.
Did you actually say that?
Fuck. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go.
Let's go.
You see Dr. Guest actually smiles, and it kind of sucks.
No.
But
Aw.
Fortress goes, I apologize, but ordinarily, I don't use this power without the consent of one who I'm using it on. But in this scenario, it felt prudent to understand where you're coming from without bias. Suffice to say, your Your will is strong, Jeremy, and I understand that. Presumably you've had enough people poking around in your mind. But I need to know. I need to know everything. And I need to know that you're here for the right reasons. My instincts are telling me that we need to keep you safe. But I also think it's worth noting to you, especially with that entrance that you made. We have an understanding on this campus as a place of heroes in training who come up together, know each other's names, faces. There's a cone of silence that comes out of this place that can't be enforced. Not by anything deeper than camaraderie, and that's always been enough. But outside these walls, it may be a different story. This whole city is looking for you and beyond. And it won't be long until Alma comes knocking on our door. This won't stay contained, and when that happens, I need to know how to proceed. And that starts with knowing what it is that you want.
At this, Jeremy will just sit back and sigh. And then he'll just offer just a small, kind of sad smile. And he says, I want justice. I want justice for JJ.
We can call a meeting of Nova to discuss how we want to proceed. We'll need to meet all of us with you, if you're willing, to speak with us, tell us everything you know, and see if an investigation is merited here. As for the involvement of you three, resistance or no, I get the feeling it was no coincidence that it just so happened to be Team Pantheon between you and my office. She looks back at Dr. Guest, and he nods. He goes, these events have unfolded beyond the gates of darkness that have closed in front of me.
He's so dramatic.
I've seen not these things. I've seen not you here in this room. There is a certain air of inevitability surrounding your intersection with these three. That much is very clear to me. You have heard a voice. So have they.
Just out of curiosity, did you guys give that voice a name? Call it anything?
There was a lot going on all the time. That was kind of the least of our worries. What do you think, Aramon? Should we have named it?
I don't think we did.
I don't
No.
think so either.
They talked to us the one time.
Yeah.
Okay, that's understandable then. I thought because if it had spoken into your mind directly like 2 or 3 more times, then I would be like, you got to get more creative with your naming. But
How many times has it talked to you? And how much detail?
ooh, Ian, how many times has it talked to me?
So it started as just brief whispers. They're lying to you. They were intermittent. And if you ignored them, they got more frequent. And that evolved into seeing shadows leading you to rooms, hearing voices with numbers and codes, door keys, into rooms with terminals where you were given more and more information and pass keys to access information. Those are most of the whispers given to you.
He'll say enough times to where it wasn't that unnerving anymore, and he gave me, or whatever they are, or it is, gave me enough information and details to do what I did.
Me as Eric, horrified by that description. Deeply uncomfortable. Whew.
Yeah. Functionally, it gave you enough to unlock the information for yourself that you needed. Pointed you in the right direction. And then once you had it, you didn't hear from it again for a while. Not until, honestly, today.
He won't say any of that to them.
I will look at Fortress and I will say, if the thought hasn't occurred to you already, perhaps Dr. The one who looked at Backtrack.
Dr. Mary.
Maybe she could try to peer in, since she peered in with him.
Well, that is a question for you, Jeremy, because in so much as I seek consent in my reading of emotions, I am only reading emotions. I'm not seeing your thoughts, your memories. Dr. Mary, she can search your mind. In fact, she would be the best bet to try and uncover any information you might be missing. But that's not something we do here against people's will. We don't just dig for truth in people's minds just because we have the tools to do so. It's not admissible in any court, and it's not admissible by what is right and what is wrong. If this is something that you want, then that's an option we can explore. And I'll begin talks with Dr. Mary right away.
Let me think about it.
While you do, I cannot stress enough. I would like to believe that we can trust our own government. There is simply too much evidence that has yet to uncover who among their ranks sanctioned these events, who is truly responsible. And while that's still in the air, so to speak, I can't guarantee that you will get such an offer from anywhere but here. I will do everything in my power to keep you from being in that position, to keep that choice in your hands. I know too well that there are forces in this world who would sooner wrest that choice from your hands. Sometimes in the name of safety or some greater good. But there's no good about what's been done to you.
Well, yeah, that's why I came to you guys. So, if you'll have me, I'm more than happy to work with you.
She does take it. And Pantheon goes, I'm just still trying to understand. Look, my team has been through a lot. I keep saying it because it keeps being true. And I'm trying to give you. I'm not going to talk about you like you're not here. I'm trying to give you the experience that you came here for. And that doesn't include some investigation. And as far as I can see, one isn't merited. There's an investigation already happening, whatever, right? It might be the people responsible. Now, if we conduct one, until I see hard evidence that my team is involved deeper than they already have been, we need to carry on as normal.
Pantheon. As far as I'm concerned, we're as involved as Jeremy is. I mean, Silencer seemingly is a clone of BB. We
That's
can't
true.
just let that go.
You see Fortress's eyes go wide a little bit because you can tell that she was deliberately not saying that part.
Excuse me. What?
Yeah, it's a clone that's like of me, but she's a few years older than me, but she calls me big sister, which is kind of this weird. I don't really know how to navigate that.
Feels
But
very bad.
she's in prison, I think, or a hospital, or she's in hospital prison.
She's in
One of
Blackstone.
those. Yeah.
The assassin that I mentioned, the one that murdered your clone and tried to kill Silhouette, BB, and Harriman. This is the one that BB is speaking of.
How long was I out? What's going on?
When was he supposed to meet Asher in relation to the date today?
Like 6 months
Like
ago.
6 months ago?
It's been that long?
Yeah.
Oh, shit.
Now, if you
We
and the others, and I look directly at Fortress when I say this, want to not do an investigation because of how it would look to the government, it would bring heat down on the school, how your brand of hero functions as it is, that's fine to me. But in my mind, there's no way we're not just gonna stay out of it and not protect him and not. There's no getting out of it for us at this point. I don't know if there ever was.
Fortress looks very deep in thought. She looks back to Dr. Guest, back to you. You're right. And we won't be keeping you away from things that directly affect you or revolve around you. But Pantheon did raise a fine point. Right now we're gathering information. And our top priority is protecting Jeremy from the coming storm. Things are going to get very loud very fast. I'll do my best to mitigate that, but there's no telling how this is going to go. I don't want it to get to a point let's leave it at that, I suppose.
Do you have like a calendar? Can I check into your phones?
I scoot my phone over to Jeremy.
He'll just kind of like look at it and look at the date. And then he'll just kind of like sit back in his seat and then look at the date again.
You see my background is just a horse.
But he'll just sit back and be like, he'll just kind of chuckle to himself and be like, no wonder JJ was off his rocker. And he'll just slide your phone back to you and just be like, thanks, BB.
Yeah, I mean, people whose DNA has been claimed from them against their will and formed into another person need to stick together, you know? And she just kind of nods and looks down.
Pantheon scratches her chin and goes, you know, you might be onto something there. I mean, it's clear enough that we're going to have some other priorities, and there's no genuine reason to start down some deep investigative path with you three in the mix. But if Jeremy's path and your path are intersecting for the time being, considering that this is a team primarily composed of students who have had other training at some point in their lives. Jeremy, how would you feel, and how would all of you feel about maybe spending some time with us in the meantime, while we figure out what's going to happen? I mean, I don't want to speak for you, Fortress, but it doesn't sound like we're about to put this young man under house arrest for coming to us for help. I'm not saying we don't need to take precautions. No offense, Jeremy, but there's a lot we don't know.
A couple houses get burned down by a clone. I understand.
But my team can more than handle themselves. And, well, I'll be around. So if Walnova sorts things out, if you're all comfortable with keeping an eye on Jeremy, I think that might be the best way.
I mean, it'll be a pain in the ass because we're probably going to have to move to the big house across from Team Prestige finally, because we don't have space in our apartment right now. You know how much shit I have in my room that I'm going to... it's fine, I'll deal with that. Yeah. Yeah, welcome to the team.
Listen, Jeremy, just like, we're not weird, so as long as you aren't weird, it's all going to be good, you know?
I'd like to think that I'm capable of being normal, at least some of the time. But are you guys okay with it? Because if I live with you, I mean, that's a pretty big target on your back.
You haven't been here for the last 6 months, or several months, rather.
That ship has sailed a little bit.
That ship almost sailed the first night, I would say. You're just going to have to get used to some really loud neighbors.
I was about to repeat the same warning to you.
To be clear, though, I wasn't suggesting living I mean, that's a big commitment immediately. You don't have to, by any means, do that.
Isn't that how the school works anyway, though? You get assigned to a team and then you live together immediately?
Well, being under our care during this deliberation period and being on our team are two different things. I mean, you're not enrolled in the school, you're not... There are steps that need to be taken before anything like that can happen. But, you know, I wanted to put out an alternative to sitting in some room by yourself with cameras on you.
Got enough of that at the PDP.
Fortress just kind of goes,
At Jeremy mentioning that, can I roll to see if BB remembers him in PDP? Because she was on her...
do.
Okay. Okay, yeah.
we already established that
Gotcha,
you
yeah,
guys
yeah.
were on different tracks. You didn't
Yeah, yeah,
interact very much, but when you first saw his face, that's where you knew him from. He was in the periphery
Gotcha.
of your experience there.
Okay, for sure. Sorry, I just wanted to.
He was an
yeah, yeah.
NPC.
Yeah. He was functionally an NPC in your life.
In your protagonist.
I forgot that we had already established that. But yeah, BB's eyes just kind of widens, and she, even the sound of PDP, and I was kind of like, oh, we have a lot in common. I'm forgetting how much we have in common internally.
I do wanna point out that he does have like a black PDP hat and like is wearing the PDP outfit. Like
Yeah,
it
you
is.
recognize the compression shirt.
Never.
Yeah.
And you burned
Okay.
the logo off the hat,
Yeah.
though, right? Yeah.
But I mean, you still see like some of the stitching outline. Like you'd recognize it.
For sure.
Yeah.
I think it's been just a really rapid 30 minutes, and so now she's fully taking it in.
It's
Under all the
catching up.
hype beast gear,
Mhm.
she sees the uniform.
I mean, living with us is entirely up to you and the rest of my team. I personally come from a place where we essentially all live together anyways. So I don't care.
I'm fine with it as long as Silhouette is.
I mean, we have like a guest. We can just clear out some of the like gym stuff. You know, we don't have to move houses right now until things are like
We
settled.
have-
We can just sort of.
We don't have an extra room though. We would have to set up like curtains and that would be his room.
I think
We have
hearing that, I think I'll just take like a separate room until we figure out one, that I will not burn you to death, and two, that I will not be thrown out into the cold.
What if Jeremy moves into the mansion, and then we just all slowly move in after a while? This is role play, audience. This is the hard-hitting storytelling you come here for.
Fortress goes. I mean, that's not a bad idea.
Team
We
Prestige
do
is
have a
just right
vacant
across the way.
house. I mean, it's a lot of space for one person, but it would be very easy to have regular check-ins to make sure that you're okay, that you're comfortable. And while I'm confident that you're not going to burn anyone alive, Jeremy, I do want to assure you that no one is going to be throwing you out here, no matter who comes knocking on this door.
Just how many cases of arson have I or JJ committed on this campus?
Well,
Today?
two, yeah, so two.
2?
Yeah.
Out of character, didn't he also burn down like Prestige's house too?
Yeah.
Oh,
There-
was that the house party house?
That's the house party house.
Oh, okay. So 2.
But I mean,
So
there was
almost
also
3.
there was a burn at the house across the street. So it's minor arson on the window frame.
3.
There's the original house, then there was the party house, and then
Oh,
the
right.
original house again.
Oh yeah.
And then the gate
Right.
today.
4 counts of arson.
As you guys are starting to actually do this, like Joe's going, like you see something switch from that like sort of shell-shocked, then suspicion, analytical, to now like kind of excitement.
Mm-hmm.
And she goes, I mean, I would love to ask you a lot of stuff. I mean, everybody's going to be asking you a lot of stuff. I know that, but I also, I mean, you built you've got the walkie-talkie, like that was yours, you know? We could show you that. We fixed it up really good for you. And I think there's someone on the other end who would love to talk to you at some point. Maybe in the future, maybe not. Maybe that's not the best. And Fortress goes, yeah, for the time being, I think as many people as know about Jeremy's presence here at this moment, let's try to keep that number the same. For the time being.
I have an idea to help. I don't have to go around saying that I'm Jeremy Johnson. I could just say that I'm someone else.
Well, Jeremy, that might be difficult considering that your face is on every screen for miles. And
Coincidence.
like we have something to hide is different than not advertising your presence here. If it means that much to you to conceal your identity, we can do our best, but within these walls, at least, within the Hero Campus, I doubt you'll find much adversity to secrecy here. It's what we do.
Okay, cool. So, do you still need me for this meeting? Because I apparently haven't eaten or showered in 6 months, close to 7.
Her brows furrow and she looks to Dr. Guest, and he steps forward now. She stands, Pantheon stands. Silhouette stands. And Dr. Guest looks to you as he opens the door and he says, on that subject, I believe it would be prudent for me to lead you to Dr. Lim for a more thorough examination of your physical state if you're in some sort of stasis, or it would be wise for us to determine your overall physical health. Your safety, after all, should be our number one.
He leans so far out of the chair, you're surprised that he hasn't fallen out of it, and he's like, can you please sound a little less evil? No offense, but
Pantheon laughs, and you see her outline shimmers, and a second Pantheon emerges and walks over to you. She goes, come on, I'll go with you. You three need to get some rest.
Yeah, I think that's a good call.
I turn to Dr. Guest and I'm like, you don't sound that evil. You're fine.
Yes,
You're just British. Like, that doesn't equal evil. I don't know what he's on about.
Doesn't it though?
he gives you the old Snape, like, Dumbledore wants you to know that he is traveling.
Maybe we'll turn to Jeremy and be like, if you want to get dinner with us, you definitely can. I think we'll probably have to do takeout because you're not supposed to be in public, but we eat food all together a lot of the time, and you're welcome to also be a part of that.
Oh my god.
we eat food. I am happy that at least in the past 6 months, people still eat food.
A lot has changed except for that.
If there's nothing else, he'll get up and walk out with Pantheon.
So Pantheon and Dr. Guest lead Jeremy to the medical facilities where you undergo a series of tests, and nothing invasive, but you get some scans and some x-rays going just to make sure that you're in good health. And over the course of some time that takes, maybe a few hours of tests and things, they do determine that you are in good physical health. You are, to your knowledge, in the same physical health you were in. It's as if even your hair hasn't grown. Like, you are in the exact same state that you were in the last you remember, which is extremely odd. And they tell you essentially that they need to further look into the results of those tests before they know more, and that you are free to go about your day within reason, but you will be under some sort of distant surveillance for the day during your stay here, and you're asked not to go anywhere, yada yada. The rest of you walk out with Pantheon, but the rest of Pantheon, as she brings you back out, down into the lobby, and before you exit the building completely, she goes, I'm sorry, you guys. This isn't what I wanted at all. I mean, well, finding him is. I did want that. I do want that. But I was hoping for some semblance of normalcy going forward.
What I'm learning about this place and First City in general, and I'm just gonna extend that to all of Alma because I haven't gone other places other than First City. That this place is not normal, and no one can be normal in this line of work.
That's fair.
Well, what's more heroic than knowing what we can't have and going for it anyway, because what choice do we have? I'm around if you need anything. You know how to get in touch with me. We'll start things a little later tomorrow where there's going to be quite a bit of deliberation. And I think I have an idea depending on how things go. I'll let you know more when the plan forms a little more concretely. Try to do something fun, yeah?
We always have fun, right?
We've only had a good time since coming here and enrolling in this program. Only the best time we've ever had.
Silhouette goes, I know you guys are being sarcastic, but honestly, but not sarcastic.
How do you feel about BB's looking at Pantheon and says, how do you feel about possibly having a maybe 4-person squad?
I'm not sure yet. But tentatively not bad. He seems like a good kid. I mean, against my better judgment, I do like him. And I feel for him. He does, at least on the surface, have a lot in common with you. All of you, in one way or another. Go so far as to say he might even fit with us, but as far as him being on anyone's team, that would mean that he's a student here. That would mean that he has a goal to become a hero. We don't know enough about him to know what his goals are at this moment in time.
I guess. But I do think he completes the classic square of hair, gun, invisible, fire.
That's pretty good. Yeah, that's pretty good. Well, all right. At the end of the day, you're the 3 that I started with. You're the ones that I came back for.
Willpower check.
Oh, wow.
Against what?
Just
Themselves.
there's been hints of something under the surface
That's true.
that Hermone has not been ignoring, has been picking up on, that seemingly Pantheon has been trying to hide.
Whose child? Who is actually secretly Pantheon's child of the group? Is it Silhouette? Is it Joe?
What a twist.
That was only 2.
Who is it?
Yeah, you got nothing. I
Got-
mean, you're trying.
Yeah.
You're trying to see something, and you know that there is something,
Mm-hmm.
but you don't know what it is.
She's so good and experienced. It's like she's been
Yep.
a hero before and knows how to hide things.
It's true. I mean, she's still in costume from the day. She hadn't gotten out of costume
Mhm.
yet. And her demeanor is different. She carries herself different, and it goes to show that, like, you know, she could convincingly be another person. And that same skill set is at play here.
Yeah. Okay.
If someone else is going to join in on this, then they'll have that same treatment. But determining if that's going to happen, that comes down to you. And this, what we have here now. If adding another to the mix messes up the mix, I don't stir.
Bars. Holy shit.
BB says that in character.
No, that's an incredible line. Well, until tomorrow, I guess we'll just continue to be having fun.
You better. I'm grading you on that. And she
Oh
vooms
my
off.
gosh. Cute.
And she leaves you guys there with the sun starting to descend now. It's getting on like 5:30-ish, close to 6. So you guys now have the day.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I will, however, say, BB, if at any point you check your phone between now and the end of the day, you will see that during the meeting, there was a missed call on your phone.
Oh no!
While your phone was silent.
Who's it from?
Mama?
That is correct.
Shit.
No!
There is a missed call from your mother.
Oh, God.
Not my mom!
And
What?
there is also a text that came in sometime after the call.
Triggered. What's the text say?
The text says, I'd like to talk. Lunch tomorrow,
Fuck.
noon. I've made reservations for 2 at Azarello's.
For 2.
I just respond, I'm bringing 5. And I don't call her
Fuck
back.
you, Mom.
That's correct math, right? The 4 of us and Pantheon. A Pantheon.
Yeah.
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 Did
No
she respond
voicemail,
at all?
right?
No,
Okay.
there's no voicemail.
Do I get the ellipses that keep showing up and disappearing and showing up and disappearing?
That's interesting.
Power play. You ever get power played by your own daughter?
Okay. So what you get back is if you want them to hear about our business, yours and mine, that's your prerogative.
How do I respond to that? I think showing a level of awareness of how to be petty through text that I think hitherto has been unknown to BB. She just likes the message and then closes her phone.
Oh, shit.
And then I text everyone, I guess excluding Jeremy, because I don't think I have Jeremy's number. And
I literally
say,
don't have a phone.
King!
He's past Evan Kelp. He doesn't have a phone at all.
God, oh my god. This is hype beast Evan Kelp. God, no, that's amazing. I text OG Team Pantheon, including Pantheon, and lay that out and say, hey, my mom wants to meet to have a discussion, quotation marks, tomorrow at this restaurant, and I said that we're all going to be coming. And I may have included Jeremy in that, because I think he deserves to get answers from her as well.
She responds, Jeremy might be a bad idea.
Will you come, though?
She says, I can send one if you need me. But deliberations are going to take some time tomorrow.
She can break herself into so many parts, though.
That's what she said. She said, I can do it
Yeah.
if you need it.
Maybe I'll be good with just Haramone and Silhouette, but stay on speed dial.
Always.
You should bring Lightning Pantheon.
Oh shit, that'd be the move.
But now it's even a bigger power play because your mom has to change the reservation to 5, and then we're gonna show up with less people than that.
With 3.
So she's gonna look like an idiot either way.
Yeah,
That's powerful.
This is what this game is about.
Was
yeah.
that conversation with Pantheon in the group text, or
Yes, it was.
Okay, so I think
You can respond. Please respond to that. If you want to.
will I think Haramone is here. I don't know what Haramone's doing today.
Yeah.
I don't know. Probably asking Backtrack to come over because he's there decompression. Nice. But like they're with you. Haramone is with you. And I think they just sort of ask just flat out, like, 1, are you okay? And 2, if you are and willing to share with me, are okay and willing to share with me the behavior exhibited in the house in Amberley was the behavior of someone with a long history. The whole situation, you know, I don't know why she brings out these emotions from you and what happened there. I would like more context if you feel comfortable giving it. I know you said you shared with me how your powers manifested and how that sort of changed the relationship you had and have with your father. But I guess when it comes to your mom, there's sort of a lot of inferring I can make, but I don't really understand the situation.
Yeah. I like I said before, I in that moment did not recognize her as the victim that she was and the person who needed to be saved that she was, because I when I left my mom, she said she never wanted to see me again when I came here. And before that, after my powers developed, I didn't have any time of my own anymore. It was all hers. And whatever she wanted to do to me, whatever she wanted me to do, I just had to do it. Even if I wasn't comfortable with them, or I didn't know what I was doing, I wasn't given the information, I had to do it. And she would lie to me or only tell me as much as she thought I needed to know. She would put things in my food to see how they would affect my powers. I was gonna be her project for as long as she was alive, and I couldn't do that. So when I saw her in that moment, I just assumed that she was doing something that I didn't understand. I thought she was acting against me, or that she was hiding something, that she was acting against us in that moment, and that we had to capture her no matter the cost. And I know that it costs a lot. I'm sorry.
I think Haramone just pulls BB into a hug, and she just says, "BB, I'm so sorry.
You feel BB's shoulders kind of decompress in a way you've never seen or felt them decompress before. And she hugs you back, but it's like it's not like she needs your full support, but she's leaning into you in a way that you don't think you've ever seen her do with anyone else or felt before. And she doesn't say anything, but she buries her head in your shoulder neck.
And I think after a long while of Hermone sort of calming down, and sort of stroking BB's hair, it's one part consoling BB and one part consoling themselves.
Yeah.
She will take BB's face in her hands and put, them face to face and look directly in your eyes and say, "You are safe here, and we will protect you, and we will never let that happen to you again. You say the word when it comes to your parents, I'll jump in front. I'll take the bullet. All right? You do not have to interact with her any more than you want to. And I need you to know that."
No, I need to. Because I can't be afraid of her if I want to be a hero. But she hugs them again and says, "No one has ever offered me anything like that before. And just know that in any other situation, when necessary, I would do the same for you and Silhouette."
Is she here, by the way?
I imagine so.
Okay.
I just, that just feels right. And Natasha isn't here, but I assume that Silhouette is joining in the places where it feels appropriate.
I mean, Pantheon said it earlier, right? I mean, it's us three. We gotta stir.
BB also just.
We
stand in a circle.
Yeah.
No, now we're just like three witches stirring a thing. Like,
I mean, we could be.
Yeah.
We could be witches. There's always time to change career paths.
I don't know. Cauldrons are hot.
That's true. We could be a witch team of superheroes, though.
I think that exists, actually.
Oh, well, we can be witches for ourselves.
We could be a band of three witches in a band. Oh wait, no, that already also exists. Shit.
Is that exists?
Guys, we're watching Scooby-Doo tonight.
Yeah.
This cannot stand. Let's invite Knock Knock over.
I was just gonna say.
And I hold both of their hands. I think we friendship feel each other in that moment.
We do off of this moment. Jeremy, what do you do with the rest of your evening?
In his big ass house.
Well, he will wash all of his clothes for one, and I assume since it's like future like technology, that it won't take that long to wash.
No.
But while he was with the doctor and all them, he probably requested like stuff to like be able to groom himself and wash himself and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
And he'll go to while his clothes are washing, he'll like go to like the bathroom mirror and just check that like everything is how he remembered it.
Mm-hmm.
And then he'll take his facial hair, which is like, because he hasn't shaved in like 10 days because he's been running for his life.
Yeah.
But he'll take like, you know how on nail clippers you have like the filing part?
Mm-hmm.
He'll take like some of his facial hair and he'll put it up against that, and he'll like notch it with his fire to see how long it grows, and then he'll shave it off. And yeah, and then he'll take a shower and put his clothes back on, and he'll probably strike out, try and find someone to talk to on campus, try and socialize. He'll probably look for Team Pantheon, but if he can't find him, he'll just start chatting with people.
You hear muffled Scooby-Doo blaring from a house. I'm kidding, sorry.
Interesting. Yeah. So you're just specifically looking for someone to talk to on your way to trying to.
I mean, he'll try and find Team Pantheon,
Right.
but if he can't find them, then he'll just like go to like the dining, like the food courts, and just start chatting with people.
Yeah. So you'll find that you have an interesting time because people know your face, they know who you are. And on the hero campus, right, like looking around at people, you'll find there's an instinct of people not to talk to you, but some people really want to talk to you.
Oh shit.
And there will be like kind of a overwhelming sort of a swarming at times of people trying to talk to you. And I think on your way to Team Pantheon's house, people start being more and more aware that you're here, and you start getting more eyes on you and more people. And you do sort of passively notice every so often, you'll see like a teacher sort of like sidelong, a hero sort of sidelong, like looking, just being like, yeah, I'm here, I see you, kind of a situation. You kind of expected to have more of a surveillance robot situation, but you notice it's more personal than that. And it feels almost, with your deductive brain, more like they're trying not to have it be like intimidating and bad. They don't want to like monitor you with robots and cameras and shit all the time. They have people around just like checking in that you're cool.
We're watching you, but we're not watching you.
Yeah.
I just want to say that like on his way there, like if people try to talk to him, like no matter how big the crowd gets, he fucking plays the crowd. He is just like smiling and just welcoming and
Everything's
complimentary.
normal.
Yeah, and he is trying to like get to know as many people's names as possible.
Hello, fellow students.
Okay. Yeah, you meet some people for sure. And ultimately, I think what happens is that you are trying to sort of make your way to where Team Pantheon should be. And do you ask around for that specifically? Like, do you make it known that that's where you're going?
Oh hell yeah. He'll walk up to people and he'll just be like, hey, do you happen to know where so and so is? Like what the building is?
Yeah. And as you're asking around, you'll hear a voice kind of over your shoulder go, you're asking about Team Pantheon? And you look over your shoulder, and I would say this happens in the food court area, and you see a man that you had never met before, but that our audience, if you've seen the show, knows very well as Backtrack.
Yeah.
With his trademark black tank top and blue jeans and Sonic the Hedgehog shoes and his red collared shirt over it with his bracelets and his red hair. He's got his arms are crossed and he goes, Jeremy, right?
That's me.
Good to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Backtrack.
Backtrack.
This is man, it is unexpected to see you. You're the talk of the town all of a sudden. I mean, you already were, but in a very different way here. I hope you know that all of us here, I mean, we're going to do our best to, I mean, protect you sounds really weird and emasculating. That's not what I'm trying to do, but, you know, we're not going to go telling everyone around town that, you know, hey, Jeremy's here, come get him.
That's quite reassuring. And I just want to make it clear that I intend to repay the kindness.
Hey, I mean, you don't have to do that. That's just what we do here. I mean, you can repay it by not. No, sorry, that would have been a very inappropriate joke. Not. Just get that right out of my brain. You said you were looking for Team Pantheon. I'm heading that way myself soon. Do you?
I hope you wouldn't mind me accompanying you. They're kind of like the only people that I know here.
Yeah, not at all. Yeah, what's been going on there? If you don't mind my asking.
Don't fucking interrogate him, Packer. What the fuck?
I don't know what I can say, but I do know what I will say. Nothing much really. I just kind of bumped into them on my way to Fortress's office. He'll start like walking in a direction that he thinks is right, and
he sort of walks like slightly ahead and just like coolly adjusts.
Yeah, he'll then side it and he'll say, "Yeah, kind of bumped into them making my grand entrance. Sorry about that. Sorry about your gate. But yeah,
somebody will fix it."
So yeah, how do you know them? Good friends of yours?
Yeah, we met pretty early on. Yeah, you could say we're close-ish. We're friends. I mean, I love everybody here, honestly. I mean, this place is a haven of friendship, honestly. But yeah, we've had some adventures together for sure. I'm not sure how much anyone's told you, but it's been an interesting semester so far. Things haven't been as smooth as maybe some people would hope them to go, and you know, I would hate for that to continue. Sorry, I don't know what I'm talking about. I just this place means a lot to me, and so do the people in it. And he fully stops. I don't want to pile on condolences right now. I know the story, and as much as anybody does, of what happened with him, and I'm sorry that happened. But as a student here, and more importantly, and he gestures over to the house because you're relatively nearby, but you're like kind of far enough away. He goes, first and foremost, as their friend, those three, they're good people. And they've been through a lot.
Oh my God.
And I have a feeling that they might be, well, 2/3 of them might be pretty quick to trust you. I'd like to trust you too. Hell, I'd like to trust everybody. But realistically, I know that's not possible. And considering the entrance that you made and everything that's happened, I hope you forgive me if I don't seem as eager as others might. And he looks back at sort of the crowd that you guys left behind. I don't mean to be rude, but I hope you know what this place means to the people who are in it. And I hope that you can be a part of that.
Jeremy will offer him a small smile and say, I hope the same, and I won't ask you to trust me right away. I don't expect that. I mean, arson the first day you arrive isn't the best first impression, but I hope that you'll at least keep an eye out for my actions, and my actions are enough for you. Because I know words.
Keeping an eye out it's kind of a thing that I do. I don't think that'll be a problem.
Jeremy will then kind of like perk up again and be like, so what do you do? I mean, I can make fire, but
hey, I go in a place and I can see everything that happened in that place for the last roughly 24 hours.
He'll stop, and then like just for a flash, you'll just see like this neutral expression of just pure calculation, and then he'll just kind of like turn towards backtrack and just be like, is it only places, or can it be people?
Tasty.
Holy shit. It's about to go off.
That's an interesting point, and it's one that I've tried to address in my training, but so far it's been location based, not person based. Why? You thinking something mischievous?
Do you have the time right now?
Depends on what you're asking. I've gotten myself into trouble before. You might have heard of a particular coma.
I didn't. Coma. What?
He sort of puts he puts his arm around your shoulder and he goes, water under the bridge. We'll talk about it later. What's on your mind?
Well, I missed like 7 months of my life.
Missed like
I blinked and I woke up in a warehouse, and it's been 7 months.
So you want to know what's going on at that warehouse?
I think, how far back can you look?
Safely a day. Beyond that, I have a chance of hurting myself.
Well, I don't want you to hurt yourself, and I don't want to get you in trouble. And he'll just kind of wipe his forehead and say, there's probably nothing else. Most likely, I might. No, it probably would have been moved there today because there was construction on the inside, so they wouldn't have just left it there for 7 months. 24 hours.
You heard about the party, right?
Maybe. I think that's when my clone caused the first case of arson.
Yeah. I mean, arson's kind of, now that we know what happened, arson is maybe a little strong, but...
It's more fun to say arson.
All right, I'm going to fly right by that one. I may or may not have suggested a particular idea that I then executed, where I looked into what had happened and whatever was there sort of put just a nice little spike through my brain that like knocked me out for a clean week. And I'm trying to be just a little bit more considerate about putting my foot in places where the superheroes that I answer to wouldn't want my foot. And also, and he points back to the house again. And he goes, yeah, I am fighting with my innermost self right now, because I would love nothing more than to go to that warehouse right now and unravel some very tasty mysteries. But there are other people more qualified than myself who are probably doing something very similar. So, and hey, if you were just sleeping, in there for a while, maybe there wouldn't be much to see anyway. But either way, I don't think that's a good idea right now, logically.
And that, my new acquaintance and hopefully future friend, is where I must agree with you, as much as it pains me to do so, because I would not like your brain to explode a second time.
Aww.
You'll see Jeremy like clench his fist and like bite his lip, and then like take a couple of like very forced steps. He's like trying so hard to not rope him into this day one.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He will he will let go of this possible information of who moved him.
Like that.
It's not worth the risk.
You see a tenseness in this man that's been there this whole conversation, that's half posturing in a way. You see a lot of that break the more you interact with him, and as you start to move, he smiles and he shakes his head and he goes, well, maybe we'll get to train together, but in the meantime, well, I think you've got more people to meet. Come on, I'll show you around.
He'll just
He walks you over to the house and opens the door, and you enter inside the house of Team Pantheon as they find themselves sitting on the couch with another figure who looks about like around your age, with stringy blonde hair and a big oversized white sweater, big blue eyes, who is Knock Knock. She looks at you and she goes, oh, hi.
Whoa.
I see Buttcrack brought the life of the party to the party. It's not a party. I'm kidding.
Buttcrack. Oh, backtrack.
He nods. She likes nicknames.
Well,
Speaking of nicknames, Jeremy, did you ever think about superhero name?
well, I was Igneous.
Right, that's a good name.
I don't know if Igneous fits me anymore, though. I'll have to think about it.
Fair enough.
Knock Knock goes, I'll have to think about it too.
Hermione looks at Backtrack and is just like, boy, get your butt over here.
Cute.
Yeah, he kind of gently wraps you on the shoulder, Jeremy, and then he goes over and sits on the couch next to Hermione.
Can I insight check to see what that means?
What means?
Him sitting over after like him saying that they're important to me, and then him sitting next to Hermione and that look.
Okay, yeah, that'll not be the highest DC ever.
Oh shit. Let's see. And for each rank in a skill, you can re-roll one dice.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my fucking god.
Oh no.
I'm gonna shit my pants. That's full successes with 3 6s.
Ooh,
That's an 8 out of 5.
Oh my god.
8 out of 5.
God damn.
First of all, that much is clear.
They fucking.
But second of all, with 3 more than what you need, Backtrack's entire demeanor is one of someone in a very precarious, weird situation. And all of the pieces come together in your mind, and your sort of keen knowledge of people and your honed skills. And you read this as a man who is extremely charismatic, surrounds himself with people, but is not quick to trust. And you see that there is something very deep there that you can't touch, that is just something wounded, something guarded. And you see that he does deeply care for these people, but very specifically for Haramon now. And you see, as Haramon, did you actually do that?
Mm-hmm.
You see there
My
is
head on your shoulder.
there is a strange sort of hidden distance in the way that he regards them. He's not acting like, oh, I'm freely being coupley with you. There's something a little bit performative about it. Not that it isn't genuine, not that he doesn't care about them very deeply, but there's something struggling there that he is trying to figure out and doesn't really understand. On 3 above, there's something there that he's afraid of. And yet, through all of that, through all of the weird, complex dynamics that this man is having with his own relationship to having a relationship, still that protectiveness and that conversation he had with you stands out in your mind. And you know that at his core, this is a person who, even if he doesn't know what he wants, thinks he knows who he wants to be and what he wants to protect.
He'll like clock that in like a second, and then he'll go and sit down like next to Knock Knock and just like introduce himself. And he'll be like, well, if you're thinking of nicknames, I just gotta say JJ's off the table. That's for someone else.
I could have told you that. No, and I'm sorry, and I don't mean to be rude, but I don't take suggestions. It's a very complex process, and I'll arrive at the right one in time, and I'll let you know. You'll be the first, probably the second to know.
Honored.
So, and she sort of loses herself for a second, and she tugs at her collar and settles it into place. Do you like popcorn?
I love it.
Large bowl that she has in her lap.
Ooh, actually, is there any like popcorn kernels, like unpopped popcorn around?
Oh my god.
I would love to believe that hundreds of years in the future, we've advanced popcorn technology to the point where that doesn't happen anymore. But I want whatever is about to happen. So sure.
Yeah.
Maybe she does it the old fashioned way because it's fun.
He will, he'll just take like a handful, like, when you just like have like a bag of nuts or something that you eat, he'll just put a couple in his hand and he'll just individually just put them in one hand and just.
Oh,
That's so sick. That reaction.
why do I feel like the start of the nickname process has just begun?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And she leans over to you and she goes, okay, I don't think you're evil.
Oh, I like you, Knock Knock. Thank you.
Everybody does.
You better work.
True.
And she goes, okay, now this is the good part. It's terror time.
What?
Well, it's technically terror time again. You'll see.
Terror time? He'll just like sit and watch and he'll be like, what is this?
And you settle into an evening of cartoons and getting to know some new people. Are you guys cool to sort of fade to the next day?
Wait, I think that Jeremy would notice the walkie-talkie from Freddy on the mantle.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah,
Mm-hmm.
it is there.
Maybe, we can circle back around to that if you don't want to do that now, but
We can address it.
I'm down, yeah. Which is it? My
I forget how that
or is
all
it Freddy's?
went down. Could you remind me of the context of the
Well,
robot?
Freddy has one.
Freddy, yeah,
'cause
Freddy
I
has
talked
one.
to him.
And he
So-
also had your one.
Yes.
Hmm.
So it
which he
is
then gave
your
it.
one.
Yeah, it is
Yeah.
your one.
So you notice your own walkie-talkie on a shelf.
That's been modified somewhat.
Yeah.
He will he'll just kind of look at it and gaze at it, and then he'll just slowly kind of just walk up and pick it up and just look at it.
Oh, that goes to Freddy. You know, do you know Freddy, right?
Yes, I know Freddy.
Yeah. He's our friend now too, and we said if he ever needed heroes, he could message us through that. It's this big symbolic gesture, but you know, you can also reach out to him if you want.
As much as I would, I think I'll have to wait to do that.
Yeah.
Things are a little too hot for right now.
That's a pun. But yeah, it stays there. So whenever
He'll kind of look it over and just be like, the paint's, I can touch it up, and then he'll put it back on the shelf, and then he'll sit down again.
So, you enjoy a comfortable evening.
Harmon and Backtrack absolutely fucked that night.
Hopefully after everyone leaves.
Well, yes, but Harmon needs to someone take care of me now, you know?
Yes, that makes sense.
Yeah. Cool. And so, the night comes to a close. You all wake the next morning. Team Pantheon with an appointment that most of them weren't invited to.
Self-invite, bitch.
And Jeremy with an appointment to speak to Nova and tell them everything that you're willing to share.
Oh, shit.
We're going to resolve Team Pantheon first.
Okay.
So is there anything that you do in preparation?
Harmon, what do you think? Is there anything that you can think
I mean, we're not gonna kill her, so
of? Sorry, go ahead.
for sure recording the conversation for sure.
Exactly what I was thinking. Great minds think alike. Trying to think if there's anything else. I want to bring the burner phone that I found.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is there any other key piece of clues or materials that we got from the fight that would be pertinent to bring?
Ooh,
What was in the robot again? That USB?
yes.
And that was what was passed off to Prestige, which then got blasted out. Got it.
Yes.
Yep.
I think that's it.
Yeah, just
The burner phone. I think
Okay.
Harmon is wearing something very similar to what I'm wearing right now, in the sense of it just fully covers the body. So the only identifying mark is the scar on her face. The hunting knife is not present, but the collapsible staff is for sure.
Ever since BB's stopped using her accent, she's kind of dropped a lot of the cowboy aesthetics as well. Not fully, but it's a lot more toned down to jeans and a shirt. And that's basically it. Sneakers. But to go see her mom, she puts on full cowboy regalia.
Hell yeah.
Does Silhouette have any tech stuff that she can bring and I imagine she'll do a lot of the recording.
Yeah.
I can try.
Okay. I think that's it then. I think we're good.
Okay. So, BB, you're aware of Azarello's. It is a place that is a very nice restaurant. You know, it's somewhere that your mom goes
Italiano.
sometimes.
Mhm.
And it is relatively close to campus. she picked a place that is like not too far for you guys to go to, which to you is interesting. Usually it seems like it would be more her style to make you guys go somewhere to meet her, but you don't even really need to take like the larger train. You know, it's only like a couple stops away on the regular bullet rail that goes through the city. And you step out into a little bit ritzier, almost outdoor mall-like sort of area, but in that very like sort of high fashion way. You see a lot of like stores selling suits and dresses, really like high quality, like fine dining areas, but in like a cafe sort of a way, lots of open air. But then you see lots of darkened like windows with candlelight and artificial warm lighting from within, and all of these very fancy, very delicious food smells coming from all directions. And you make your way to this place that has this black awning over the top of it, and this spiraling sort of fancy font. It says Azarello's over the top. There are actual like real life torches in black like lanterns, sort of hanging on the outside. And there's outdoor dining where you see some people sitting, having brunch. And you get to the front where you see a middle-aged man dressed very nicely in just a simple black button-up shirt, standing in front of the, I don't have a better word than podium. With his sort of data pad to log information. And he looks up to you and he says, good afternoon. Do you have a reservation, my friends?
Yeah, we are with Tara Baker.
Yes.
6.
I have here a reservation for 2.
We will be having some other people joining us.
One moment, ma'am.
Thank you.
Oh,
and he disappears into the room.
Oh, the way she's trying to power play back. Okay, I see you.
Let's go.
The fucking social warfare that's going on.
Yeah.
Like 3 minutes go by. He comes back. All taken care of. Right this way.
I feel like we're still going to get some wool pulled over our eyes in some aspect, but I follow him.
He brings you into this darkened Italian restaurant. There is a actually lighter, the lighting in here has this cool gradient effect. So at the front, there's a bistro, kind of a takeout area where they have deli meats, different like dried pastas and fresh pastas and things that you can just get over the counter. And then you make your way through and the light gradients down to a darkened restaurant as you push through this sort of beaded curtain, but the beads are actually suspended in this anti-gravity field and they mold around you as you walk through them.
Yeah.
That's so sick. That's the sickest thing I've ever heard.
And then you enter into this darkened restaurant proper and you see that there are lots of booths, but you don't hear a lot of conversation. And you notice that all of these booths, some of them have this strange sort of curtain around them that is reflecting opaque and only reflecting the firelight of the hanging lanterns all around. And you notice very quickly that everything is digital and hooked up to that same sort of system of audio and visual control of privacy within each booth.
Interesting.
And you're brought around to kind of toward the back corner where there is one such booth with one of those curtain screens currently in its transparent form, and it's pulled back and you see Tara Baker. She's sitting at this table. She looks like she hasn't really unpacked anything, but she has a glass of what looks like white wine, sort of half filled.
Oh, of course she does.
It's white wine.
Of course it's white wine. Ugh.
She's wearing this very severe white button-up shirt that goes up with a high collar and then kind of flares out here under her chin, sort of framing her jaw. Her hair slicked and pulled back. And she sits with her fingers sort of folded over the table, and she thumbs at the table this way. And she looks at the three of you and back at him. She goes, That will be all. Yes, I will return with the appetizers that you requested shortly. And he makes his way off, and she gestures for you to sit down.
All three of us squeeze into one side of the
Yeah.
booth.
Absolutely. And I'm sitting in the middle, and I immediately pull out my phone and train it on her and start recording her.
Like openly?
Like openly. Because me as a player, I'm also trying to see. This is a social power play, but this is also a test to see if we're going to get interference within this booth. If the secrecy thing kind of, extends.
As the curtains close behind the server, you go to record, and you open up your camera, and you see a white screen.
All right, we're going to go. I appreciate your time. If you want to talk to me, we can actually do it outside where, all accounts can be recorded. I suppose I have my friends here, but I'm not playing games anymore.
Does it look like I'm playing games, Bailey? Do you want to have a discussion about the things that we have experienced and are yet to experience, the things unfolding around us, surrounding our government, your school, all of these issues? You want to have them in a public setting, recorded on your private device. Is that what you want? Is that what I taught you? Or did they teach you that at your school?
Remember everything she says. I turn to Silhouette and Harriman. What do you have to say?
Harriman
Yeah.
starts taking notes.
The old-fashioned way.
The old-fashioned way. You raggedy bitch.
She looks at you taking notes, and she goes, now that's more along the lines of what I would expect.
So what? Why are we here?
To business, then. And she types something into that familiar sort of screen table, and that field of sound dampening sort of shimmers to life around you. The clear screen curtain goes black. She says, I told you that I would be in communication after the events in Amberley, and I would like to make good on that agreement. There is further information that I believe it would be prudent for you to have. Now, I can only assume that you would have told all of this to your friends regardless, so their presence is not entirely inconvenient. In fact, I welcome it. It does cut out a certain middleman, so to speak. Time is something that we cannot afford to lose at this juncture.
So get to the point.
The silencer, at least that's what they're calling her, she won't speak. She claims that she will only speak to her sister, quote, and her friends. Now, fortunately for us, your teacher, Pantheon, did a fine job rapidly erasing any trace of your presence from the crime scene. No one is any the wiser that you were there.
Was
No
that
one
a problem
except
for you?
No, in fact, I think it makes things significantly easier. I don't revel in the idea of my daughter being in a very public spotlight investigation.
Oh, sorry. It's just everything everything has always been aimed at being public. I mean, it's going to be an arbiter, right? There's nothing more public than that.
Are you quite finished?
I'll say anything.
Now, this is very serious. I have done everything I can to keep things this way. For your sake, all three of you. Whatever snakes lay in the grasses of Alma have not been uprooted as of yet. And while this is the case, investigations are somewhat difficult. Albert Rose is cooperating, but that avenue is not proving any more fruitful than any other. However, if it's true that Silencer means what she says, that she will speak, reveal information to you three, I've checked with some of my connections at Blackstone. Given my resources and your former connection to the program, I would be able to get you a private, unrecorded meeting, a brief one, have you, should you want it.
You would do that for us?
Everything I do is for the betterment of the people of this city.
Everything.
That has always included you.
But it's always as a footnote, right? Fine. If you wanna set up a meeting between us and Silencer, it will be the three of us. I'm not going to speak to her alone. We've already covered this. Set it up, and we will go. And I'm sure you'll have a way of getting whatever information she shares with us. So I won't even try to withhold it. But
Fair enough. Your detective Asher has been promoted. She is somewhat a liaison, continuing in the investigation with, in tandem with your school. You should be in contact with her soon. I imagine you've all heard news of Father Fear's recent breakout.
yes, I think we were talking about the fact that it almost seems like it was a bit too easy for him. Why would he be transported? Why would he be transported through a business district of a city? And why do you bring him up now?
I'm glad they seem to be teaching you something in that place. She takes a sip. You're quite right. There is no logical reason for him to have been transferred in the first place, let alone through such an obvious route. The ferry could have just as easily dropped him somewhere else, practically to the doorstep of any other facility that he might have been transferred to. The investigations have turned up some disturbing information. Warden Fell, he believes that he received authorization from his superiors at Alma to transfer Father Fear to Garrick Penitentiary via this route. No such documentation exists. He insists that this was the case. The drivers, well, what's left of them, insisted as well that they were taking the safest route, which is logically and factually incorrect.
But do they seem like they're telling the truth?
As far as we can tell, that brings us to the most disturbing point of all, and that is the future. You see, everything that we've uncovered so far is hearsay, assurances, gaps in memory. I'm sure you well understand that there are laws in place surrounding the use and admissibility of evidence obtained psychically. Well, in light of recent events, that debate is being revisited. The Congress and Senate have been meeting already, having preliminary conversations about bringing psychics, the use of them on uncooperative subjects of particular threat, back onto the table. As far as I know, even the president will be involved soon enough. Should public opinion sway one way, we may find quicker avenues to the truth than we previously thought. Any interviews that we may conduct will become irrelevant. I can't say is there any particular psychics under the employ of Alma that I would trust. But that is the information as I have it. What you do with it from here is your business. And I must make that point clear. If you walk into that room, if you go to that island, you go to Blackstone and you sit and you look at her, look her in her eyes. Whatever she tells you, it has nothing to do with Pantheon or Fortress or anyone else. Whether you like it or not, you still have ties. You have training and purpose, no matter what costume you wear and what name you choose to use. You have skills that others don't, and responsibilities that others can only barely begin to understand. If you want to tell your teachers, your so-called superiors, what you learn, I imagine a lecture about the consequences of free information pipelines being used carelessly, I imagine would fall on deaf ears. I don't have the luxury of washing my hands of it. Someone stole and corrupted my research, and I intend to find out who.
I don't respond to that. I pull up the phone and put it on the table and say, do you know what was on this?
What was on this phone?
Yeah.
It was just one of my devices.
Is that why it was wiped after I took it?
Why else? I can't have my contact information, my contacts, freely accessed by people with who knows what kinds of powers and motivations. You should know better than anyone here the regulations that we follow, the protocols and safeties in place for a reason.
You're right. I may still have ties back to our development program, that old life, but I'm gonna try my hardest to one by one sever every tie I have with you.
Sever as many ties as you like. Connections are one thing. Arteries are another.
Listen, we can do this interview with Silencer. You'll get your information the way you see fit, and I will get my information from her, and we will both go our separate ways. Unless, I mean, until the point where you decide that I seem useful again. Is that
She's
it?
quiet. Yeah. She just
All right.
takes a sip from her drink. I think she drains it at this point, lays it down on the table. I'll have the interview soon. We'll meet then to discuss the details and protocols to follow from that point.
Sounds good to me, cowpoke. And then I stand up and I start to leave the booth.
As you pull the curtain aside, you see the server walking up with a plate of just like beautiful like crab cakes and just a bunch of nice appetizers. And he goes, "Oh,
I take some off the plate and keep walking.
those aren't portable dishes. Oh, that's fine." And you see he looks over at Tara, who's just like, at the empty space across from her where you had been sitting.
I turn to Herman and Silhouette as we exit and kind of try to read their vibes.
I stand up and I very loudly and hard snap the red leathered
Yeah.
hard-backed notebook. And I think I was on the inside. I was 3 deep, and I just sort of stand there for a second and look at Tara looking at the empty space where baby was. And then I just shake my head and leave.
I look at them as we exit the restaurant and I say, "Can we go get a burger or pizza? Just anything."
Yeah.
Ship shake?
Chip shake.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's only been a couple days.
Hell yeah.
What, are you tired of burgers already?
I thought you knew me better. And you walk off together.
Holding BB's hand.
Cute. Wow.
To a very different part of the city.
Yeah.
We rewind now back to the morning. Pantheon comes to the house that you're staying in, Jeremy, and knocks on the front door.
Who is it?
Pantheon.
Oh, okay, good. He'll open the door and reveal that that he has like a flaming like German anti-tank gun pointed at the door, and he's like, "Oh, don't mind that," and he'll just dispel it.
What? Whoa.
That's cool. That's impressive.
I'm a little paranoid, sorry.
No, I get it. I do. Hey, on the subject of paranoid, the conversation that we need to have, we're gonna have it somewhere a little more private. I mean, like more private than this school. We thought it would be appropriate to meet in a place where Nova is more likely to meet. This isn't some academic interview.
But I had my letters of recommendation already. My GPA was good. I'm hurt and wounded by this Pantheon.
She sort of turns away from the door to give you an avenue out. She goes, "All right, kid, come on. You don't need to give me more reasons to like you before decisions get made."
He'll walk out and just like look for like a car or something to take him where he's going.
That's not going to cut it. And she walks you back to the administrative building, to an elevator that she activates with a handprint,
Sky base,
opens,
sky
brings you
base.
all the way to the roof, to a helipad atop the tallest building at Moonlight Academy, over which you can see what feels like the whole city. You can see the coast and the ocean shimmering off in the distance even.
Okay. For a second, I was terrified that you were just gonna pick me up and fly me to wherever we were going. This is much better.
And you do see a blue, orange, and white shuttle.
He'll get in.
You get in, take the passenger seat next to this weird, gangly droid pilot that is built into the shuttle itself.
I thought you were gonna say Dr. Guess again.
Hello.
Oh,
Would
God.
you like peanuts? No. And she sits sort of behind you and diagonally, unless you don't sit like in the second chair, but
I lay down in the second chair, take up 2 seats. No, I'll sit normally like a human would.
Okay. She goes, I hope you're not too nervous. I mean, this place is intimidating for some people, but hopefully it'll bring you a little, hope. And you look out the front window and you start to see this shimmering bubble as clouds part away through it. And this huge dinner plate-like metal structure atop which a beautiful outdoor mall-looking environment rises up with a shimmering force field bubble around it that the shuttle passes through, and you feel gravity sort of change somewhat. And the shuttle lands not in the shuttle bay, but actually on the roof of a helipad. Well, yeah. So the domed roof of what you know from studying this to be Nova Hall, at the center of Nova Skybase, the place where they gather and meet. Legendary place of marble and pillars. And there are towers sort of around it, framing it. And I think a landing pad actually emerges between 2 of those towers, like a bridge sort of forms, and then extends outward so the shuttle can land there. And then that part is on like a booster, and it lands down on the ground in front of Nova Hall. And you step out of the shuttle and see the immensity of it, of this legendary hall of heroes, knowing how many great champions have made pivotal, world-changing decisions in this building that you're now standing in front of over hundreds of years.
He'll kind of like put his hand up and just touch one of the pillars.
Mhm.
And he'll just say, I always wanted to be able to do this. And then he'll just kind of like drag his hand along it and move to the doors.
Thought this would be a little more appropriate. I told you before, this isn't an interrogation. You ready?
I'm always ready. And he'll move to like push the doors open himself.
Mm-hmm. And you go to do so, and for a second it feels like you did, but then you realize that there's something like mechanical about it that was done somewhere from within.
It's the energy, man. It's all
Hell yeah.
And you step first into a sort of lobby room that's almost like a museum in a way. You see that there are big pieces of essentially history. There are framed costumes like behind glass cases of different heroes of the past. You see that there are just souvenirs and like vehicles and different things in this big space. So you're taking a tour of the history of superheroes. And Pantheon walks you through it and brings you to a sort of central elevator platform. You can see a circular platform with the insignia of Nova on it, and a tiny little pillar console comes up to meet her. You see she puts her hand on it and also scans something, like maybe a little bracelet that she's wearing. She scans something on it, and it says access granted Pantheon, and the entire platform begins to slowly descend down to a level below. And you emerge. Yeah.
You guys really like your hand activated things.
Well, I mean, two-factor is really important in a world of shapeshifters, I mean, you've got your hand activated, but then you also have to have something you physically have. It's a whole thing. We had some issues in the past. And as she's saying this, you're like seeing the scenery change, and like these big doors open up in front of you into a not particularly darkened chamber. At the center, there is a curving sort of U-shaped table with many chairs. And up above, you see a large podium-like structure that stretches from wall to wall with 7 seats, one for each current member of Nova, as they all sit, with Fortress at the center. Fortress stands to greet you, and she smiles warmly. Just please, Jeremy, sit.
Do all of you guys have to take the big spirally thing, or is there like a side entrance? Because I gotta say, first time it's amazing, but the 10th time seems like it'd be kind of a pain. And he'll stand in front of the seat and just stay standing, hands behind his back, power stanced.
Prestige kind of slaps the table in front of us. Wouldn't you like to know? Is it inappropriate to say I have a vote already? Yeah, sorry. A little bit of light humor to break the ice. And you see a couple of the other members chuckle. And Fortress sits back down. She goes, Jeremy, we brought you here because we know that we don't know what you've been through. You know as well as we do that we need to understand everything, every part of your perspective that you can offer us, so that we can in turn offer you a safe place to be. I know that at one time you chose to go perhaps a different path than the path of a hero of moonlight, but you have a different path laid out before you now, and that path could branch out in 1,000 different directions. And what path you take is ultimately going to depend on one thing: your choice. So, now's the time to tell us what you want from us, what you've been through, what you've seen, everything you can remember, so that we can get to the bottom of this. So we don't need to roleplay you telling everything unless you want to, because it's going to be a lot. But if you could summarize for me what information you tell them and what information you don't.
So I start off by telling them why I went to the PvP to train my powers, and then after that I will talk about the first time I heard whistleblower and how whistleblower sounded and stuff, and then I'll tell them about how my shadow would sometimes lead me to a terminal or a file, and that's how I'd gather information. And then I tell them how whistleblower also told me codes or stuff that I'd need to or passwords that I need to get into the information. And then I will end off this bit with saying about how I was on my way to go to talk to Detective Asher about the whole thing, and then all of a sudden I woke up in that warehouse, and which warehouse it was and where it was.
So they all listen. Sometimes you'll get clarifying questions from any number of members of them. Some of them are more quiet than others. Combio doesn't contribute much to the conversation, but you see he's listening very intently. You get a lot of engagement from Prestige, but mostly Fortress is sort of leading things along. And Pantheon is there with you. She never goes up to sit with the rest of Nova. She sits next to you the whole time. And when you're finished, Pantheon crosses her arms. She breathes in and out. Well, that is certainly a lot for one person to experience, and I'd like to think that the people in this room are ones who are most capable of relating to that experience as best as we can. I can tell you before any deliberation takes place that we are committed to protecting you, keeping you safe here if that's what you want. What that's going to look like, especially in response to any, shall we say, interference we may get from the outside, will be something that we will need to discuss in much more detail beyond this moment. But I believe we can say with confidence that you could have a place here. My only question to you now is, again, what do you want?
Jeremy has never sat down, even when Fortress sat down at the beginning. He was always standing while speaking, and he'll turn after, because he was looking at Pantheon, making eye contact while she was saying that, but he'll turn to address the rest of Nova, and he'll say, All my life, I wanted to be a hero. I wanted to use these powers to protect the people that don't have them. None of that has ever changed, and that is why I went to the PvP. I would be more than honored if I was able to continue my training and my growth, this time under people who I know would help me do good.
Well then, Jeremy Johnson, allow me to officially say, and she stands, and the rest of Nova stands as well. Welcome to Moonlight Academy.
Woo!
Pantheon smiles. She pats you on the back a little bit. She goes, see, it wasn't so bad. I know they look scary in this lighting.
It's very ominous lighting. You guys love giving off mixed signals. Got the secret evil turning floor into the dark room.
It's like soft fluorescent lighting in here. It's not even.
Ew, it's fluorescent lighting. Ew, disgusting.
In their sky base, they have fluorescent lighting.
Oh.
Dang.
I don't know. Maybe I don't know what fluorescent lighting is. That's fair.
It's good.
Just all throughout, you just hear that.
And things wind down a bit. Pantheon brings you out back into the shuttle. And as you're coasting back
It explodes.
down toward the helipad, you step back out onto the rooftop, and she turns to you and she says, all right, well, I can't lose a day of training, but if you're up for it, you're welcome to join.
Sure, I'll throw down. What?
Oh, well, the group's been doing a lot of work with Big Robot. It's my favorite exercise. I call it Big Robot. It's where we fight a big robot. So, I'd love to see how you handle yourself. Get a feel for it.
He'll kind of like crack his knuckles, and as he does, like a little bit of flame will poof, poof, and be like, sure, it'll be great to stretch my wings.
The rest of Team Pantheon, you've been around for a while. You know that your training was going to start a little later today. So somewhere around maybe like 2 or 3 p.m. Let's call it a cool 3 p.m. Yes. You guys make your way to the training city, the place where you have been working on this same exercise, fighting the same big robot and increasing, or trying to decrease the time it takes you to do so and increase the teamwork used to do so. And as Pantheon approaches with Jeremy in tow, you see him for the first time in, a few hours.
How'd it go?
Well, they said welcome to Moonlight Academy, but
well, they said that to me when I got in, so I think you're in.
It's true. That's the thing that they say.
I mean, I'd be more than happy if that's what they meant by that.
Wait, and then I look at Pantheon. Is he on our team?
Well, I mean, ultimately, at the end of the day, that's my decision. How am I supposed to know if this very powerful, intelligent young man belongs on Team Pantheon until I've seen how he and the rest of my squad measures up against Rusty 3.0? Rusty! And you hear this as turning the corner is this massive hulking 10-foot robot with new armor plating that was not there before, rivulets of green energy spiraling up into green eyes, certain strange rubbery padding in between the armor plates as well that look almost like shock absorption. You see its form shimmers for a second, and you see sensors like little cameras all over its body starting to detect. Silhouette turns, she looks at you, and she smirks. and she like starts to make her hand start going invisible. Pantheon floats up above you and takes a perch to watch.
Are you ready?
Does everybody else strike a pose?
Jeremy will just kind of like kneel down on one knee and put his hand on the floor, and he'll just lift up the mask, the bandana, I mean. Lift the bandana, pull down the hood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. BB nods at him and kind of like ducks behind some cover with her finger guns out, ready to go.
I turn to Vivi and I go, right blade feint?
Right blade feint.
And I take out my hunting knife and I throw it at the robot's left side.
As the robot charges forward, all of you in a line, smiling, a cohesive unit, you throw, making the first move, and we follow the blade as it spins, glinting in this afternoon sunlight, and just as it connects, we hard cut. We fade back in on a scene somewhere else, across a small bit of ocean to another island of the first city.
What?
Where a large and wide black metal structure sits on a grassy plain with spires and towers all around it and a black gate out front that reads Blackstone Penitentiary. We push in through the lobby all the way to a metal door with a series of locks and sensor pads on it. And we see sort of disgruntled looking older man wearing all gray with a hat. Clearly he works here. He's pushing a cart that has various like plates of meals that are covered on the cart. He steps up and he types something in. He's just like a retinal scan and the doors open and you see that those doors actually read maximum security. And he begins to walk down this long hallway and you see certain faces pressed up against small windows, eyes peering through slits in metal doors. Some are more transparent, but you know that it's like a certain tempered transparent steel that you can see through and monitor activity without compromising on the safety of the actual enclosures. You see these various prisoners in their orange jumpsuits just watching this older man pass. And the farther he gets down the hallway, the more you hear this whistling tune, sort of muffled, but echoing down this hallway. He gets closer to the edge. You see again, that transparent, not really glass material. And inside of the cell, just like any other, where the figure of a woman sits on a stool in the center of the room, facing the opposite direction. Her hands are clasped in front of her, her head still completely shaved. As he wheels over the cart, he goes to open up a slot to place the food through. She turns her head slightly and smiles, and you see scars still faintly healing around her mouth. And the familiar blue eyes. She lifts up her hands, which you see are bound with some sort of strange metal handcuff-like bracelets with sensors all around them that are blinking. And she reaches up. She moves her fingers into this position. And she looks over and you see her shadow cast on the wall as she raises her arms to make a firing motion.
No.
And as she makes the firing motion, nothing happens. But as she watches her shadow the hands stay in fists. And we cut to black. And that is where we'll pick up next time.
Let's go!
Ah.
She knows Pop goes to Weasel! Oh no, it's over. It's gonna be bad news bears next week for us.
Oh boy. Thanks everybody for tuning in on this very charged episode.
Oh, yeah.
That was a lot of fun.
So
you guys.
many
That
emotions.
that went places.
Oh.
Ben, welcome.
Yeah.
Welcome
Oh,
to
yeah.
Moonlight Academy. All right.
Thank God.
We'll see you guys next time. Keep it super. Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Woo.
Woo!
Woo.